This is me and Lucas's first ever time being in Denver, Colorado.
And let me tell you, we are rocking it because of the Rocky Mountains.
So I found this place that is actually kind of the oldest restaurant in Denver, but also the oldest continuously open restaurant in all of Colorado.
Dang! We're going back in history.
Huh. Hey, Instagram, hey, TikTok.
Ugh.
I want to go back to the day when I could just have a sloppy Joe without being filmed.
I
Even
know.
though I'm filming it for a video.
I know, but this doesn't count.
Yeah, it doesn't count. Buckhorn Exchange Restaurant keeps the spirit of the Old West alive. This guy created it, and he was friends with like a bunch of famous Old Western people, like Buffalo Bill, for example.
We pulled on up in an Uber, which I know is very modern, but when we were dropped off, I immediately was transported to the days of saloons and women in big dresses and corsets and prohibition. Looking at the outside of that restaurant, just picture back in the day, like those second floor windows, like some little cutie would be up there and her man would be walking up with a whiskey bottle and...
Welcome, this is the place cause there's no place just like this place anywhere near this place. Oh, I should probably mention this place was established in 1893.
Whenever I hear about the oldest place, I always do kind of think like, wait, are they just lying to get people to make reservations? But they had the plaque.
And this restaurant is also a museum. This also probably is my first time dining in a museum.
Wow,
This is
that's
everything.
cool.
Right when you walk in, you're just flooded with a bunch of memorabilia.
Famous people on the walls who've eaten there, I'm assuming, and they sign the photos. Dead animals littering every area.
I guess there's like 500 taxidermy pieces in this restaurant, and there's also a bunch of guns on display.
Yes.
This is the Old West restaurant, so when I picture the Old West, I just picture like, I mean, people still shoot people, but I feel like back then, people shot people too.
People just always have been shooting. That's the one
Yeah.
thing you can count on. I know you watch these Western movies and you think, oh, it's stuff my dad watches. That was the reality this restaurant has lived through. Someone came in, I don't think they actually killed everyone, but they did demand money or something. It was they said it was a bandit broke in.
It was crazy. We were talking about how there was a shootout at one point at this restaurant, but then we got kind of scared that we were gonna get involved in a shootout because on the floor above us, there was people arguing, and then I was kind of thinking like, what if people in this restaurant still out in this old Western vibe and they're gonna do a shootout? But thankfully there wasn't a shootout.
Yeah, we heard them people yelling upstairs and somebody said, "It's your fault for bringing that up." I heard someone storm down. I didn't know what was going on. When Jacob told me there were gonna be so many dead animals everywhere, I was scared that there was gonna be a weird smell, but there wasn't. Some people always say taxidermy stinks.
That's a good point to bring up. I didn't get any weird smells.
Yeah, they deodorized all those dead animals.
We explored the whole restaurant, and I think the best taxidermy piece I saw was this bear. It looks so real. I mean, it was real at one point.
Actually, didn't really hit me until right now that like that was actually a real bear at one point.
That's funny. Going to this restaurant proves to me that our soul isn't connected to the body. So for example, if I died right now and you taxidermied me, it wouldn't even be me. Yes, it's how I look, but it's not actually me. Like, these animals' souls have left their body, which is so interesting.
Our dad always says that he wants us to stuff him when he dies.
Taxidermy. Usually I think of people doing elk, deer, buffalo. But I got kind of grossed out when I went to the back of the restaurant and there was a taxidermy duck.
That was just too far for you.
It gets a little bit too foul for me. And also there was another taxidermy piece. I forgot what it was, but they were eating something. It was too real for me at points.
It was kind of scary looking above my seat and seeing that lion, tiger, cat thing with such a mad face.
Lucas was looking to the menu and right above him is like a gun.
The menu was in the style of an old-time newspaper, which was pretty cool. At first I was confused because all I saw was actual articles about the place. Once you open it up, it's an actual menu. I love stuff like that.
I loved how in the menu they cowed this supper. I always
Oh.
associate the name supper versus dinner with such like a homey Midwestern thing.
And it's just weird because our family grew up saying supper, but I'm pretty sure no one says supper anymore. It's just sad how it all gets pulled out of you.
I know. I know. We were actually sitting at a very cool table. We both had like these leather chairs. It felt like I was at a presidential meeting. That's kind of funny, Jacob, because there's been 4 different presidents that have ate at this restaurant.
Looking at the photos on the wall next to me though, the restaurant looks exactly like how it did over 100 years ago. They have the same tablecloth style, some of the original furniture, so it was just cool to really stick into it. Like I bet you that was even the original hardwood floors.
Even the ceiling probably was the same ceiling, that tin ceiling tile, whatever.
Yeah, for sure. That's all old-time places have that.
We decided to start our dinner off with drinks.
This was the first place in the state of Colorado to get a liquor license after Prohibition.
After Prohibition, they got the very first liquor license. I got some Colorado apricot blonde ale. I was a fan of it. It was fruity, but not too fruity because, don't get me wrong, I'm not that much of a fruity boy.
I did kind of want to get the Buffalo Bill cocktail because he's just like an old time person, but it had whiskey. Don't really want to do that. So I ended up getting the Mexico City Mule, which was a Moscow Mule with tequila. I think it's usually with gin. The waiter, I don't know if he was putting on an act or there's people among us who just act like they're from the 1900s, like the early 1900s, but he was giving a performance. I felt like he was from 1904.
He kept calling us gentlemen, so I don't view myself as a gentleman. I just view myself as a guy. But when someone calls me gentleman, I think like,
believe that waiter, he didn't drive home in a car, he rode a horse home. Then he goes home, has an outhouse.
Yep, it's a fine specimen.
Cheers, dude.
one of the appetizers is Rocky Mountain oysters, which is just bull testicles.
From the scrotum.
So we got a half order of those, and then we also got an order of, this is actually an off-menu thing, but they said it's a special, rattlesnake dip. We've been wanting to go to this testicle festival for so long, Bias. I just want to let you guys know that like these testicles that we got as an appetizer were very special and heartwarming to us because we've been, I don't know about craving them, but very interested in them for
we've
so
been
long.
Very intrigued about eating animal testicles for a while. So it's finally coming to fruition after years of anticipation.
You might be surprised looking at them. Why aren't they balls? I thought testicles were round.
And I was disappointed, I'm not gonna lie, by the shape.
I Googled it. A bull testicle is like a big, just a big piece of meat. And then I guess they slice it to make it taste, but I don't know. But yeah, anyway, just disappointing that they didn't keep the original form.
I do feel bad for the waiter because he said a joke and it slipped over our heads. He said, "Here are the Rocky Mountain oysters, guys, straight from the Platte River," which is a nearby water source. Me and Jacob didn't really laugh because we both thought he was being serious. We didn't think there were oysters in the river, but we thought like, oh, I guess the bulls are
in the Platte River.
Yeah, but then he was like, oh, that was a joke. Like, obviously they're not real oysters. I felt bad because like that actually is a funny joke, but like too absorbed looking at the testicles that like we couldn't deal with humor in that moment.
Immediately I noticed that it kind of had the texture of calamari, very chewy and kind of gummy. I wasn't intrigued, but I also wasn't so put off, so I was like, let's try another. I dipped it in one of the sauces, ate half of it, and I started to get really grossed out because I realized that I was in fact eating testicles. Taste-wise, it wasn't that weird. It kind of tastes like if you put a thick piece of ham on a fryer, fried that up, made it really chewy.
My first thought when I ate it was, oh my gosh, this tastes pretty good. Like this tasted like really fried chicken nuggets or something. But then immediately all the joy left my body because I just pictured myself chewing on a testicle and it grossed me out so much. It's so weird because I thought it would be fun, but for some reason I couldn't wrap my mind around it. Like it just grossed me out so much in the moment. I don't even know what a testicle looks like when it's outside of a ball sack.
I know.
But I was picturing like this white, gross, like has lumps in it. It looks like a meatball. And I was just like, oh, I'm gonna actually throw up. And then thinking of it being in a bowl, I'm like, oh my God. Is this more of a novelty thing that they have here because it's supposed to be the Wild West, or in the back in those days, did they even eat this stuff?
No,
like, did they even like it back then?
I said that this restaurant is famous for this.
I'm surprised. Why don't they sell like pig vagina lips. Couldn't you see that being a hit?
Lamb splinkter.
I'm honestly surprised they don't do that.
I was already disgusted with just everything, but I decided let's try a rattlesnake dip because something about rattlesnake doesn't gross me out as much as testicles.
Yeah, same.
So I dipped it in and I tried to get some of the topping, which was the actual rattlesnake guts. The dip is good. It's like some cream cheese, cheesy dip. It didn't really taste like much, but it did kind of remind me of a beef jerky. I'm just disappointed that I even ate any of this rattlesnake dip because rattlesnakes actually have the ability to like kill a human. So now I feel like I caused this whole comic reaction in the universe and I'm gonna die from a snake.
Oh, because you ate one?
Yeah.
I think I was just already in a grossed out mood from the testicles that this just grossed me out too. I was picturing this little slithering snake and I was picturing a gardener snake, to be honest. And I was like, oh my God, that's so disgusting. It actually tasted very good. Like it just was basically like what, like cheese dip underneath it basically?
But the actual rattlesnake didn't add anything.
Oh yeah, it didn't really taste like anything.
We still had a buttload of appetizers left, but we both were just disgusted. Like I actually knew for a fact in my mind, if I had a few more of those testicle thingamajigs, I would actually be in the bathroom throwing up. Not because the taste, I don't mind the taste. I just wasn't in the right headspace.
Felt like we were on Fear Factor. What did they even win in Fear Factor? Like, was it worth it?
Someone came by and said, are you guys done with these? Do you want a box? And we said we wanted a box, even though we're only in Denver for one night and both of us are grossed out by these appetizers because they're novelty items that we just kind of got because we wanted to try one bite of them.
Yeah.
Packed them up. We got back to the hotel and the fridge is full of mini bar stuff that you have to pay for. So we had him pack it up and everything for nothing.
But the waiter did actually say he loves eating testicles.
Oh yeah, so some people actually like it.
Yeah, he
it's
said-
not totally just
He
a
said,
joke.
don't worry guys, like it's the same thing. Like I was grossed out at first, but he said, now I love them. Said I shove them in my mouth daily. If you want to understand what they taste like from an expert, he said they taste like gizzards.
Now we're on to the mains. If you look at the menu, they do have some interesting stuff like quail, elk, Cornish game hen. I don't know what that means. Is that just a type of chicken?
I don't know.
We ordered our mains, but we got a salad before. We both just got like the basic green salad, and we both got blue cheese. I didn't mention it at the restaurant, but now I want to ask you. Now, this is gonna sound like I think the world revolves around me, but did I kind of make you understand blue cheese dressing as I'm saying? And I know that sounds actually like the most annoying person, but I just want to know.
Well, I have always liked blue cheese, but I feel like since you're so into it and you always are so vocal saying, I love blue cheese, it did make me realize like, oh, it actually is so good. So I feel like that did actually influence me subconsciously.
Okay, I just wasn't sure. No, this salad was actually next level. It had some like nuts in it. I'm just gonna say they're pecans, but I don't know. They had like a mandarin orange, it had raisins, a bunch of greens. Like, I just wanna let you guys know I was fully living for this salad. And if this is how Old West salads always were, I always want an Old West salad.
They also gave us bread, and it was a little funny because this was one of those restaurants where we had a main waiter, there were side waiters, like it was kind of very fancy in that respect.
Oh, yes.
They brought us bread, then one of the side waiters said, okay, are you guys done with bread? And it's like, they just put it down. I was excited for bread. I wasn't even expecting bread at that point.
And you kind of made it this whole fancy thing because this restaurant had like a bunch of silverware and this formations kinda, and you said, okay, so we're supposed to use the outer stuff first because that's what they do in the Princess Diaries.
Oh yeah, remember it's that raggedy ass bitch and like she obviously doesn't understand how to eat at a fancy place and the girl says, just eat from the outside in. So if you always keep that in mind, you'll be able to eat at these fancy restaurants like us.
I got embarrassed though because we were talking about the Princess Diaries and then I realized, wait, there's no music playing in this restaurant. I can hear what everyone's saying. And then I became self-conscious because I realized we'd just been talking about the Princess Diaries for 10 minutes, taking it so seriously and everyone heard us. Like, that's just embarrassing to me. It was that time where I had to bleed my tallywhacker. So I went to the bathroom in the back and I was like, wait, why is the bathroom modern? This ruins the whole restaurant. I was about to go on Yelp, Google, everything, and rate this thing all 0 because I was like, what? So we went upstairs to the other bathroom, and that's the bathroom that they keep old-timey. They have these little saloon doors to go into the toilets. I think it could be literally the original bathroom.
It was funny because the stalls with toilets had saloon doors, but it's like, can you imagine taking a shit in there? You can't even lock it. I feel like people back then didn't really take shits.
For my main, I wanted to try something interesting, but not something so interesting that I'm gonna wanna puke. So I got the Colorado lamb, 2 chops. My side was Saratoga chips. It just is regular potato chips that have a fancy name.
They make them there.
Yeah, with vegetables.
I got the New York strip, 12 ounces, and my side was garlic mashed potatoes.
We were gonna do a little halfsy. You get 1 chop, let's split the steak.
I was confused looking at your lamb chops though, because Colorado lamb is actually different. Those don't even look like regular lamb chops.
Wouldn't it just be a regular lamb, but in Colorado
I feel
though?
like something about the mountains changes it.
I was liking the lamb. I don't usually have lamb, but I'm not so opposed to it that I'll be grossed out. I was also enjoying my chips. I was just in this chip mood this whole time. Order chips to the side, you're kind of trying to annoy everyone.
I know.
Crunch, crunch, crunch.
I actually saw you eating chips with a fork at one point. I don't know if you were trying to be bougie or what, but...
I think I was just, when you're in a restaurant like this, I feel like you just test out new personalities, you know?
My steak was good, but it made me realize I only like filet.
Fancy fella.
Yeah, it was good, but yeah, I just prefer filet. I prefer more of a thick cut, more, just juice, but it was good.
I started digging into the filet because Lucas was saying, I like this better than the lamb chop. Oh, the New York strip. Because he was like, I like this better than the lamb chop. Okay, I kind of like it, but yeah, I do get you saying filet is probably better, but New York strip can still be good. The only thing I didn't like about both the cuts of meat is that they were very fatty, and I don't really like chewing on all that fat. It grosses me out.
The food was good, but I was kind of just starting to get grossed out thinking of these cowboys and stuff.
Oh no, this was happening to me too. I slowly started getting more and more grossed out because this meal reminded me so much of these movies that I've seen. They're set in the 50s. It's a mom and a dad. The mom's been cooking up a meal all day. The dad comes home and he's kind of abusive towards the wife. All of the kids like the dad more than the mom, and the mom kind of hates herself, and they live in this remote area. Eating this food made me depressed because I kept picturing this fake family in my mind.
But just want to say the restaurant didn't cause that. They don't give that vibe of like abusive people.
Oh no, they don't. This is out of my imagination.
I was picturing like their hygienic habits. I was like, they probably didn't shower that much. Like I just started thinking about everything about the 1800s. And
they didn't wipe
or
use a bidet or whatever.
I know. I was just like, did they even like have a skincare routine? Like.
We decided to get a little bit of dessert. When I picture the olden days, I don't really picture people eating dessert. I just don't picture that to be the vibe back then. We got a Rocky Mountain brownie, and when we ordered that, the waiter said, guys, get the ice cream scoop. It's gonna make it so much better. We got the ice cream scoop. And they brought it back, and I was like, wait, how is this Rocky Mountain? I don't get it. It was a Rocky Road brownie, not a Rocky Mountain.
Are you for real?
Yeah. But I was like, where are the marshmallows? The marshmallows were on like the side, and this was actually probably the best thing we had.
I know, it was so good. That brownie was great.
It was just like this.
And I also loved how it wasn't a traditional square brownie. Wasn't it a triangle?
Yeah. And it was Haagen-Dazs ice cream on top, to be specific.
But it was funny because one of the, not the main waiter, but one of the side waiters came up and said, whose birthday is it? And I said, no one's. And she said, really? I said, nope. I want to be eating that if it wasn't my birthday. And she said, that's a lot of calories. No, she just for some reason thought it was someone's birthday. And I was like, it isn't ours.
Then the waiter brought over the check because he was like, you guys have been here for too long. You guys keep filming everything. Here's the check. I just made all that up. He just gave us the check. $227. And here's the funny thing. Think about back in the day if someone got served this check. They would have been like this. What? $200 for a meal for two? This is highway robbery.
This is something different.
It was time to leave Colorado's oldest restaurant, and it was sad, but I also was kind of happy because I wanted to go back to modern day. And I am glad I ate here, but I don't think I would go here again.
I loved it. It was so cool to see the history, but it did make me realize like I like modern food, like
Poke nachos?
filet-o-fish.